thank you for recognizing that. And thank you.
Well, I think too, just to add to that is these are skills that have to be started very early. So we've seen it from like the preschool, and every year you get a little bit more and a little bit more. And these are skills, these are life skills that have to be built on from a very early age. You can't learn them late.
Nope.
It's almost impossible.
100%.
So.
All right. Thank you.
And Fenn family, you are welcome to stay for the remainder of the meeting. We do understand if you sneak out the back, though. Next item that I have on the agenda, we sent some information around about holding a special meeting on March 3rd at 4 o'clock. The purpose of the meeting is for board and administrative training. This meeting is open, will be open to the public. However, it won't be a formal agenda. We'll have our attorney leading us in trainings on operations, ethics, collaboration, and our COAT team will be participating in that training as well, just right across the hall here. And next, actually, I'm going to move you to the end because I know we have other visitors here. I want to welcome our boosters. They have information to share with the board this evening. We regularly recognize donations as we go through the agenda that they make to the district or district organizations. We have a rather large one on the agenda this evening for $50,000, which I want to thank you for and appreciate you being here this evening.
Thank you very much, Superintendent Sable, as well as the Board of Education. Jim and I do meetings all the time. We both work in aerospace, so that's part of our connection. And so this is much more fun than some of the times we have to have. When you talk about speaking with engineers, this is a much easier conversation for us today, so thank you for that. I'm going to start my presentation and go through the athletic boosters. I'm going to go with the mission, but I'm going to start a little bit differently. I'm going to start with an apology, and my apology is going to Gene Pritchard. Over the summer, we exchanged an email between each other, and there was miscommunication on my part. I had the opportunity to come to a couple different meetings before I came here today. I am so impressed with the way that Gene promotes all the athletic events and everything that happens here in Medina. I was very short-sighted, and I apologize for miscommunication, and I hope you accept my apology because you do so much here, and I didn't realize that. Medina Athletics Boosters. I've been part of this for 2 years, the Vice President of Sponsorships. Jim will speak in just a bit. He is the previous president, and he is the committee member at large. To kind of go through what the Boosters is all about, which is very important. The mission of the Medina Athletic Boosters is to enrich, support, and promote all Medina school sports teams. And I underline that, all Medina sports teams, not just the high school, but also the middle school. We encourage and recognize high scholastic achievement, sportsmanship, and character to raise funds that enhance and support programs for our student athletes, to serve as a vehicle for positive involvement by coaches, parents, and the entire Medina community. Our number one goal is to raise funds that can't be brought in by budgets so we can help the student athletes at all levels, wherever we can do. I'm very excited to show in just a bit, and Jim's going to talk about this, all the different things that we've done above and beyond the donation we're talking about in the last 2 years. 2 ways that we raise money with the Athletic Boosters. One is through memberships. Through Jim's leadership last year, we kind of changed what we're doing for memberships. And all the information that you are going to hear about today is all available on our website, medinaboosters.org. The one thing about memberships is we ask everyone to join. And the thing that we changed last year is 80% of the donation goes directly to a team. So let's say you have a son that's on the baseball team and you give a $100 donation. $80 goes directly to baseball, $20 goes to us, basically to cover different expenses that we have. So we're finding different ways to help the student athletes, to help the parents, but also help the coaches. We want them to coach. We need them to fundraise at times. Well, the number one job we want them to do is coach their team. So we're trying to find easier ways for them to raise money. The second way is through sponsorships. Sponsorships are obviously the different businesses that support the Medina Athletic Boosters. There's many different ways you see sponsorships on the scoreboards, certainly at the stadium for soccer and also the football stadium. I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but through those sponsorships, that's how we garner the different money to do the wonderful things that you're going to see right here. I'm going to turn it over to Jim Smeagol.
Thank you, Ken. I'm Jim Smeagol. I've met a handful of you before in the past, and nice to meet you, the people that I haven't met on the board, and welcome to the new board members. We appreciate all that you do, and this is an opportunity for us to get a little bit more engaged with working directly with the district, with the Board of Education. We kind of work in our own little bubble over there, and we do a lot of good stuff. You're going to see, and we're going to talk about it here in a minute, but as you know, Ken said, I've been on the boosters for the last 7 years as my kids have come through the sports programs at the high school. And my youngest graduated last year, but because of all the good work that we do, I want to see that continue. That's why I decided to stay on the board to help continue these kind of projects going forward. As Ken noted, we don't only support the high school athletic programs, we also support the middle school. And when you put that all together, there's 80 different teams that we support and over 1,200 student athletes. Some of the cool stuff that we've been able to do over the last couple of years on a yearly basis, or I'm sorry, let me back up, is the big items and the big ticket items you're probably aware of. If you've been to Ken Duke Stadium, you've been to Memorial, or you've been in the gymnasium, those new scoreboards are through the good work that we've done with the sponsorship and the money that we've raised, in addition to working with the district and the Board of Education to make those things happen. So those are some of the high-level items that everybody gets to see. But this is a list of the things that we do on a yearly basis. As Mr. Sable noted earlier, we donate $50,000 to supplement the athletic department's budget on a yearly basis. That's a commitment that we make on one of our line items in our budget every year without fail. Another thing that we do is that we work with the student council, and the student council helps work the concession stands at the football games to raise money to help supplement the cost of prom every year, to keep the cost down for our students to be able to afford to go to prom. In addition to that, we donate over $10,000 a year in scholarships to our student athletes who are going on to college. But this is a list of some of the things that we've done in addition to those things that we do on a yearly basis. I'm not going to read the entire list, but some of the big projects, we've donated $25,000 to help improve the weight room. That supports all of our student athletes. Those are the kinds of projects that we look to do. Is we don't want to target one sport or another. When I got involved 7 or 8 years ago, the thing I used to hear is, oh, that's a football club. No, it's not. We help all of our student athletes, and we really try to make sure that we do that. Some of the other things that we've done, we've been able to put and help support getting new windscreens put up on the baseball and softball fields. We got those in late last year. You're going to see them if you go out to a baseball or softball game this year. Those new windscreens, we helped support get those on the fields as well. We do little things such as we needed the athletic trainers were asking for a new AED device. So we wanted to make sure they had one that they could take with them that's portable. They didn't need to take it out of the building. So we do little things like that on a yearly basis as well, in addition to the Swarm t-shirts that you see out there. So we do help a lot of different programs. One of the other things we've done the last couple of years is we've worked with the Hope Squad. They wanted to get their message out and be able to promote that at different athletic events. Because it involved the athletic programs and the teams, we decided that's a great cause for us to get behind and to support. This past year, we were working with a group, which is the other reason that we wanted to work with you guys as well, to be able to make improvements over at the soccer field. They've done a lot of work, not only on fixing the field up, but if you look, a lot of the new paint, the new signage, and things like that, all over campus, we've been able to help supplement and put those things around to make our facilities look good. This is just a list of some of the things that we do on a yearly basis. but not all inclusive. And we want to continue to do those kind of things. And we also want to start partnering and working with the Board of Education and the district. What are those big capital improvement projects where we can help work together and to be able to make some of those things happen? We all know that, from a facility standpoint, there's some things that we could upgrade. And with the help of Ken and his sponsorship and some of the things that he's looking to do, he's going to tell us about here in a minute, I think we've got some real good opportunities to work together, make some massive improvements, and really improve our student athletes' experience here at Medina High School.
Yeah, I just want to highlight one of the items here that Jim mentioned about. So we see on there a new LED sponsor board. I know that was approved from the board, and we really appreciate that. We were able to spend the money to support that. What that has enabled us to do is you will no longer see signs. I know some people might be disappointed. You will no longer see signs on the fencing at the stadium. This LED board will be able to be used 365 days a year. It's 7 foot by 8 foot. And the part that's really nice is that we can make the changes immediately. So we could update different sponsors. I think it's going to give us a little bit different situation when it comes to the people that approach us. We've been working with many people in town for the longest time, and our goal is to work with small business. I'm going to have some different packages. They're going to be $500 because I want as many people on that board as possible. The other thing it's going to enable us to do, we're going to have some groups outside of Medina that are going to be interested in promoting and spending money with us as well, which is very exciting because we haven't had that opportunity before. We are the first high school in Northeast Ohio to have anything like this, so we're kind of the test pilot for this. And we're very excited to do that, and I'm looking forward for that to be installed in March. We'll just kind of wrap things up here. Want to just say thank you. Many times we don't hear that. So thank you to all, obviously, the coaches, athletic department staff, parents, anybody that's involved with the alumni, the Board of Education, staff, teachers, and friends for your continued support of obviously Medina Athletics and the Medina Boosters. It's a very big thing for us. Anyone's interested in being part of our meetings, we have our meetings the second Monday of each month at 6 p.m. in the Distance Learning Lab. And I just wanted to kind of highlight our booster board for this year. Solange Birch is our president. Sherry Strebel is our vice president. Ryan Glassenapp. If you haven't seen his work on social media, you should. He's pretty amazing. A graduate in '87. He does amazing things for us and does a great job getting the word out. Kristen Kolar has been our treasurer for quite a while. Dave Rowland, our secretary, also our photographer. He's at all the picture days and gets all the pictures of the student athletes, which is just outstanding. Jim, as you met, and myself, and we really appreciate it. Once again, all our information is on medinaboosters.org. Last part, I'll ask, I'm not asking for money or anything like that. We're asking anybody that's interested to be a member, please join us. But the last part is, and Jim kind of hit on that, we'd like to be more involved. We'd like to be part of different conversations that we maybe necessarily have. I've been doing fundraising for the past 15 years. I've done it at the college level. I've done it at the high school level. Now doing volunteer work. I think there's many different things that we can do working as one group. If it's the facilities group, if it's the boosters for athletics, the boosters for the band, if it's different people in the city, I think we need to all have a conversation together to see if, as one, that we can do some great things here. We appreciate the time. If there's any questions, we'll certainly take that.
I want to thank you both for joining us this evening. The work that the boosters do is essential for our athletic programs and even support beyond our programs. Jim, I can't believe your kids all graduated. I remember working with Susan at Fenn, which is PTO president. But Jim and I actually had a conversation this past fall at one of the football games, and we've discussed with our athletic council and working with Ryan, business director, about putting together a more long-range facilities plan with athletics. And I know that's something that we're looking forward to collaborating with the boosters on as we look towards the future. So thank you.
That's great. Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
You guys don't have to stay either if you don't want to. We'd love for you to stay, though. Next, I'd like to invite Dr. Kwolek up to talk a little bit about Black History Month.
Thanks, Aaron. I just wanted to talk with the board a little bit about some of the things that have been going on in the city, and then there's a great event tomorrow night, too, if anyone's available. But last Thursday, I attended Reverend Wilson, who comes to some of the board meetings. He has choir practice tonight. So Aaron and I were in a meeting with him, and they don't want him to cancel because they're learning some new music. Otherwise, he'd be here. But he had a fantastic program last Thursday at his church, and it's interesting because I wrote this down. That's why you saw me writing. But the FEN students talked about you can make history, everyday people, and an extraordinary impact. And that was kind of his theme too, was anybody can make history and be an inventor. So they did a fantastic program on Black inventors who made a difference despite adversity. And we did a quiz. We learned some interesting things. And I wanted to bring one piece to you here as we come to bring education. But there was a woman named Miriam Benjamin who in the 1880s was the third Black woman to get a patent or receive a patent. And she invented something called, I wrote it down because I wouldn't remember it, the signal chair. So back in the 1880s, we'd be sitting in a restaurant like this and it'd be really loud so you couldn't call the waiters. So you pressed a button and it lit up your chair so the waiters knew to call on you. And what's fascinating about that to me is that technology is still used today. And so they quizzed us on that, on where it's used, but it's used in airplanes still. So the point of the activity too was to say that Black history is American history, right? And so it should be woven in. So I wanted to share this with you because we've been talking in the Department of Instruction, and you saw in some of that deeper learning lessons that we want to make sure we teach all history. So we're very excited about that. I wanted to share that with you guys, and then also to let you know that tomorrow night, if anyone's available, at 7 p.m., Second Baptist Church will have a program. Claggett Choir will be performing, and then Miles Reed, who a lot of you know, will be doing a great piece on the porters who did who ran the shoe repair shop in the city. So just some great things that we come together on as a city. Again, whether it's our athletic boosters or our students in deeper learning, we're really lucky to be in this community, and I think there's some great things going on. So I wanted to make sure and share. And then the link on here, Sandy Yoakum was who presented at Reverend Wilson's program. So I know Mrs. Cassidy and I in instruction have been learning and integrating some of these pieces as it is Black History Month. So thank you for letting me share a little bit. And again, if anyone's available, tomorrow at 7 p.m. at Second Baptist Church. And every year the Claggett Choir performs, and they do a phenomenal job under Carrie Knox's leadership.
And next we have our committee reports. Mrs. Cassidy.
Good evening. This month, our curriculum committee met, and we really use our curriculum committee to get feedback from our parents and our community on district curriculum and initiatives that are going on. And so this month, we talked about the 5, 6, 7, 8 idea that we have been talking about, and then also our strategic plan. So we got feedback from them and had some very good conversations. Thank you.
And Ryan, you're up next. Ryan's going to not just give an update on the recent facilities committee meeting, but also bus purchase, which is on the agenda tonight for approval.
Yeah, I have a few things on the agenda for approval tonight. So I'm going to start off with one of the things that we were able to accomplish last month and talked about in the facility meetings is we added handicap accessible restrooms in Claggett. So outside of the cafeteria and outside of the media center now, we have a handicap accessible bathroom in both the boys and girls bathrooms on both floors, first floor and second floor. So it's something that Claggett has been in need of for a long time, and we were able to get that done. So that's one of the things. The next is roofing bids that'll be on your agenda for tonight. And I didn't have this in the packet that I sent you, so Gene had sent me a note, so I want to make sure I showed you this evening. The sections that we're going to be doing, section O with the 4 hatches you can see on the top of the theater, that is a project that's rolled over from this previous year, so it'll be a spring project. We weren't able to get it done in time as snow fell. And then P and O, so it's the seating under the At the PAC, the seating area, the roof over that, and then the hallway that surrounds that entrance there. So those are the high school projects that you'll see on the agenda tonight. And I'm asking you to approve for me to have our engineer set those out for bid. So it's not approval of the actual construction of the projects. It's just approval to seek bidding on those.
Which roofs again?
It is
O, P, and Q?
O, P, and Q. O is already under contract.
Yeah, yeah.
So it'll be P and Q. So P is the section, again, over the seating. And Q's the hallway. Yes. Okay. That wraps around the, right in front of the band room. Yes. Yep. Okay. Okay, so that's the section at the high school. The section route that we're looking at doing, it's actually 3 sections. And Craig, if you can scroll up, it's the wings A, B, and C, and they are on top of the science classrooms that are in those wings. And if you can see it's hard to see. I can send you guys pictures of the detail. The slant roof actually goes down and hits a parapet wall. It doesn't go on top of the science labs. So what's happening is water is penetrating into the science rooms underneath of that and hitting that parapet wall and coming into the building. As Gene and I talked this week, if we were building the building today, we would not build the building in this manner. So it's just it's a design element that we would prefer to have not existed. So anyway, they're going to take off the section, cut the metal 3 feet up on the parapet wall and get the new roofing underneath of there as part of the proposal. So again, you're approving me going out to bids for these projects, but not the particular projects. That'll be later.
There's a lot of things in roofing that they do differently today than they did 30 years ago.
Yes, yes. And the metal roofs are fantastic. We really don't have problems with those until they run them onto flat roofs or into flat roofs or walls.
Well, speaking from personal experience, they run ice dam material up 2 feet up underneath your siding. They never did that 25 years ago.
Sure. Yeah. That's a perfect.
And that's exactly what you got going on.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're going to do then is put the ice damming material up underneath there. So so those projects, and then Aaron mentioned the busing. The busing is something I presented to the board last year was our obsolescence plan, or how we plan to recycle the buses. So we're in it's a 12-year cycle, 5 buses each year. So we're just continuing down the path. We like to keep our fleet in top shape so we don't have bigger problems for our students getting to school. So that is on the agenda tonight, to approve the purchase of 5 buses for next school year. Do you have any questions on anything?
Just curious what happens with the 5 that you're
So we
scrapping?
like to, okay, that's a great question. Last year, we traded them in, and we had a local school district that we knew bought them, and then they reached out to us and said, next year, if you have buses, we'd like to purchase them. So we did reach out to them, and this year they don't have the budget to purchase our used buses, so we will be trading those in. They have, it's on, I believe it's on the, maybe you haven't seen the form on that, but it's like a $7,000 trade-in value on those buses.
That's just like a car. As soon as you buy it, it drops in value.
Yes, except the price to enter the bus market's a little higher, and they don't retain the value.
I don't know. There's some pretty expensive cars.
Yeah, well, that's true. And you wouldn't drive a car that expensive in the salt like we drive the buses. So the biggest thing that deters or takes away from the bus's longevity is salt and the conditions of the roads. We do have, we saw on the tour, we have the bus wash out there, and we do try to maintain them the best we can, but we just can't compete with Mother Nature. So. Some of these are older than 12 years, but that's the cycle that we're we're working to get into to be most cost effective. So it'll be a 12-year rotation of all the buses to get through the mill.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but when you hit about 10 to 12 years, that's when major things can occur.
You're right. And yeah, I presented that obsolescence plan that kind of went through that. And we had Bob in to talk to the board. And if that's something that you guys would have interest in hearing again, because we have 3 members that probably did not hear that. But Bob, the head mechanic at the bus garage, ran down where they become cost effective to replace. So he did a real nice job putting that together, and I'm happy to present that again if you guys would like that.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
I think the floor is yours, Dave.
Okay, the Finance Committee met last Thursday. We had a very spirited meeting. I know 2 members of our board were in the meeting itself. We spoke about it's no longer a 5-year. We spoke about the forecast, the February forecast. We spoke to why it was changed to February and how that with the change to February, basically we did not change the forecast very much. The only thing we did with the forecast itself was change the valuations that we used from estimated valuations to the actual valuations that the county gave us. After that, we spoke about some legislation that went on. Aaron has spoken about this legislation here in the past. And then somehow we got on how we could get more revenue for the district. We stopped that talk right away. And then we spoke about the February financials. If you've been on Facebook or LinkedIn or on our website, you might have seen the February focus on financials. We started it about 3 weeks ago, and Amy Busby was there on our committee meeting, and she put that up on the board, and we spoke about how the cost of living has far exceeded the state's monies that they have given us over the last 15 years. At that, the suggestion was made to put that in a per pupil basis, which we had numbers for because Matt Gregory already did the numbers for us. And so we gave the numbers to the Finance Committee, but they wanted to see it out there. So this week's February focus will be per pupil. And again, the state's numbers are very low compared to where we should be based on the cost of living. Any questions on the Finance Committee? Okay, let me talk about the January financials. It looks like that, yes. And if you notice, there's Fenn sitting right up there. So wanted to point that out for you. You're welcome. So with the finances of January, of course we begin, let me do this. We begin with our beginning numbers here of July, $41 million. Our revenues since July have been $60 million, and our expenditure is $62 million, giving us an ending balance, including encumbrances, of $35 million. We get to our total revenues here. The $60 million, it represents roughly 58% of what our forecasted funds are. Speaking about monies coming in with revenues, we're talking about real property taxes. So far, we have $33 million. At this point, compared to last year, that's $20 million below last year, $21 million below last year. The reason for that is that the tax bills went out later, so the collections are later. What we're hoping for is with the final advance that we're receiving here next week is that it will make up that $20 million plus
the additional $4 million that will come in. So we're hoping the county treasurer and county auditor give us something that we're looking forward to. And then our state foundation is at $11 million. This is 4.8% over last year. But again, as we talked about, it does not meet the cost of living. If we go to our next page, our expenditures. Our expenditures. Total expenditure is $62 million. This is 64% of what we anticipated in our total expenditures. If you look on our forecast, I believe we're looking at roughly $110 million on the forecast. Our personal services, $34 million. This is 2.6% above last year at this time. Benefits, $13 million. This is 13% over last year at this time, but as I've told the board time and time again this fiscal year, we had an 18% increase in premiums, so we're looking at this as a win right now. We're 5% lower than what we were anticipating with the increase in the premium. And then all other expenditures, which include purchase services, supplies, and capital outlay, is at $8 million, and this is up from last year by about 1%. I thought this would be a good slide. I put this in last month. This is on the financials that the board receives, that their 80-plus page report. This shows your current revenues and your current expenditures and where the breakdown is. So as you could see with our revenues, our property taxes, our local taxpayers are paying 56% of our revenues at this point. Our public utilities, those are the local utilities itself. So if you add the real property and the public utility, local taxes account for 61%. State foundation's only at 19%. Our current expenditures, most of the expenditures, as you could see, are personnel services and the benefits. Our investments, they came in, we're at $1.3 million. This is up only $150,000 above last year. You have to remember last year's rates for investments were higher than they are this year. We also, with last year, we had more monies invested at the end of last year than we did at the beginning of last year. So right now, we're running with a lower amount in our portfolio, but they're still generating a higher amount on our investments. Our true days cash. What do I want to talk about with our true days cash? You could see the ebb and flow of school district funding. When we look at the yellow, which was from 22, you could see we were running on a high in 22. 23 is in the red, it's lower. When we came to, I believe it was November of 24, and that's in the green there. We were looking at the passage of a levy in November of 24 and the 24 fiscal year. So at that point, we did not have a levy pass. We did not have the levy pass until, I'm sorry, let's go to the 23 fiscal year. We did not have a levy pass in November of 23. November of 24, we had the levy pass. Because the November of 23 levy, I think we were looking at a 6.5 mil levy plus bond levy. So it did not pass. March of 24, the levy did not pass. We were looking at a 7.5 mil levy itself. And then November of 24, the levy passed. We did not receive monies until January of 25. So if you look at the yellow line there in January, that was our low. We were at less than 100 days with our true days cash. It wasn't until February of 25 we actually received a large portion of the new levy. Now, 25 to 26, fiscal year 25, we only had half a year in there. So if you look at June of 25, you could see we're above the previous year, but not much above it. What we're looking for this year, to be a larger amount than June of 25. And the reason for that is because we have a full year's worth of collections. So we should see it above that amount, but it will not be above where we were in '22. And the reason for that is inflation has hit between '22 and now. So, does that make sense? So, when we get to June of this year, we'll be below June of '22's amount, even though we passed a levy here in November of '24. Talked about our Friday focus. This is what was put out last Friday. As you can see here, we're looking at the cost of living. The cost of living is in the line graph, and the amount of monies that the state gave us. If you look at this closely, you can see that the state has not given us what they gave us back in 2010. What came about with this, with the Finance Committee, was, okay, let's see that on a per pupil basis. On a per pupil basis, you will see this coming Friday that the state is lower than where the cost of living is, again, and roughly $1,000 lower per pupil. And then good news. Guess what? The district received, again, for the third time in a row, district received the highest achievement for transparency of school districts in the state of Ohio. So just wanted to throw that out there. That's on our website. And speaking about our website, here's where you could see it. If you have any questions about the financials, they're on our website. And if you want to go back further, you could give me a call. You could give my assistant a call. I believe it goes back to 2014 that we have the information. And the website's back to 2021, something like that. Yeah, she's shaking her head, 2021. So, any questions? Okay, the next thing I wanted to talk about.
One question.
Sorry.
Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
No, that's okay. So when you say that we're about $1,000 less per pupil, is the money calculated always on the per pupil basis? Because I'm just wondering if we're seeing a decline in enrollment, but we're also seeing the decrease per pupil, if it's actually even larger. Because
that is the disparity, is we are seeing a decline in enrollment, but the monies that are being given per pupil is not keeping up with the cost of living.
Okay.
So, okay. Anything else? Okay, let me move on with, there's a resolution out there on the board agenda, at the very end of the board agenda. And this resolution, it's an annual resolution that the board has to pass in order to file a complaint with the Board of Tax Appeals. The state put this on to the Board of Education here last year. Legislation put it on last year. So if you were here last year, Jean and Andrew and Amy, you would have seen 3 resolutions on here. And it was if the value that the sale of the property that takes place for, and we always look at commercial property, if the value is more than 10%, or the sale is more than 10% of the value, and more than $567,000. Well, the value that you're seeing on here is almost double. The value that the county auditor had listed for the property is nearly $1.5 million. The sale was for $3 million. So, and that $567,000 is up from last year because that increased with inflation. It went up from $554,000 last year. So, questions on that? And finally, we have the forecast. I keep wanting to call it a 5-year forecast. It's a February forecast. The next forecast that you will see will be in August of this year. Okay, we have our February forecast. First thing I want to point out is, again, we're looking at beginning cash balance of $41 million. What we're looking at in June is $46 million, an increase of $5 million. And I want to say it's a small increase because if you know what our levy is, our levy was to generate $4.4 million. So you could see that our after one full year, we're not even gaining an additional $7.2 million. We're down to $5.1 million. Next, we have our revenues. And I like this slide because it breaks down the revenues into your local taxes, your state funding, and then all other revenues. And if you look on this, if you want to look at the wheel, local taxes are at 63%. State funding's at 21%. And all other revenue, the reason it is large is because we have the transfer at the end of the year, moving the monies from the from the substitute and emergency levies into the general fund. Next, we have our expenditures. Again, it's a nice breakdown of the expenditures, and if you look on our financials, it's broken down the exact same way, where you have your personnel costs, your purchase services, and then all other expenditures. And you can see, again, our personnel costs are our major costs of the school district at 73%. And then you have our forecasted projections here. The blue are our revenue, the orange are our expenditures, and then you get to our projected cash balance. I like this because it's all on one page. It's easy to understand. You could see the ebb and flow of each individual year, and you could see the ebb and flow of our cash balance itself. And as Aaron has talked about before, when we pass a levy in school districts, we have a rise up till we capture all the tax monies itself, and then as the expenditures exceed the revenues, you see the drop in the cash balance. It's not a straight line, and it never is a straight line. You look at our 3-year outlook, we're back to our $41 million, and you look to our 5-year outlook, we're at $11 million below. So we're looking at $22 million in 5 years. Our annual change, I like to point out that the historical change, that includes the first year of the levy. So that's why the historical change is so high, because it's including that first year, so $7 million on top of where we were. Now, when you're looking at the projected, that doesn't include any deviation because we already are collecting everything here in 26 going forward. So that's why the deviation of 1.97% is relatively flat. And when we're talking with our school district deals with House Bill 920, which limits inflationary purposes of the reappraisal and the update. That's why you see the flatness on there. Now on the expenditure side, it looks like a big gap, but it's not a big gap. It's only 0.91%, and that's less than the rate of inflation if you think about it. So we're looking at, our forecast is looking at less than the rate of inflation. And here's our days on hand. And again, we were talking about the 23 year when we were placed in fiscal precaution, and 24 year when we passed the levy. You could see when we're looking out to 2030, we're at less than half of what we were in 2024. But I have to say, I think that's where we want to go. We don't want to go lower than that. We actually want to look at something in the 28, 29 year. We don't want to look to the 29, 30 year to look for a levy. We always want to look the year ahead. Even though we know we're spending more than our revenues, that's the ebb and flow of school district levies. But if we wait too long, we're not going to have monies available to us to go ahead and pay for payroll. So you want to look the year ahead. Okay? Questions on that? Because I have one more here. Okay, you have your demographics. We always like to talk about the cost per student, and this is your daily cost per student, $113. That's what we're projecting for this entire year, fiscal '26. When you look at where the monies are coming from, that portion, 46, is just residential property owners. That does not include the business property owners, does not include the state. That is thrown in the other portion. The business property owners make up another 17% on there. So get that 17%. The state and other revenue makes up only, I believe it's 35%, 37% of this $113. And if you take the state's portion, it's less than $24 per student per day. So that's all I have. Any questions on that?
Can you go back to that first pie chart? It showed
That one?
Yes. So state funding's 21%. You said local property taxes is 63. The all other revenue, is that the substitute levy and the emergency levy?
No. Well, okay. We could say yes because we move that into the general fund. The substitute levy and emergency levy are part of the forecast. So yes, that includes,
That's that 16%?
That's that 16%. But if you look at projected all other revenue, that's that 14 million of the projected all other revenue.
Well, where I'm
The
going,
the other $3 million is made up of tuition and investments.
well, where I'm going with it is if you take 16 and add it to 63, that's 79. It basically means local sources are paying 79%. We're only getting 20% from the state.
Correct.
And 2010, my guess is that orange piece of that pie would be much larger.
Yes, the state was giving around 35 to 40% at that point.
That's my point.
Yes.
And I think that's important for the public to know. In 2010, the state was giving 40%, and we all hear across the state, and even myself, about our increases in property taxes. Well, there you go. So
Correct.
that's the point I was trying to make. Thank you.
Yep. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chambers. Okay, board communication. Anybody like to start? Thanks, Ms. Pritchard.
Okay, congratulations to the Medina High School Students of the Month, Nathan Fisher and Brenna Koski. Medina County Career Center Student of the Month for January was Marissa Nugent, who was in criminal justice. Alexis Shields, Maeve Gilbert, and Jaden Martin received scholarships by Safe Mobility to help them pay for driver's training. Art Awards, Parker Bisline received a silver. Eve, and I'm sorry I'm going to screw up your last name, but Poach Trager won a silver, and Kate Conley won a gold key and advances to the national level awards. The debate team qualified for state. I think this is the 24th year in a row, and also for nationals. And it was because of how well they did at Harvard this past couple weekends. I was able to attend the Root versus Brunswick boys basketball game and Claggett wrestling match. It was a tri-match, and I finally got to see one of our female wrestlers, but it didn't last long. She pinned her opponent in under 30 seconds, so if I blinked, I was going to miss it, but she really did a nice job. I went to senior night for the wrestling team. They defeated Brunswick in a thriller. They had to win the last match, and Tegan Gilmore won his 150th match. Attended senior night for gymnastics, and then part 2 of the GCC championships. The team finished second overall, but Anna Shork won the individual title, and her fellow senior Haley Hoffman was third. Got to watch the Lady Bees dismantle Euclid the basketball team, and Molly Gilbert scored her 500th point, and Vivian Kelps her 200th. This week, or right now, in swimming, Brady Ryba and Manny Hemming are headed to state, and the boys bowling team missed qualifying. They qualified for district but missed the state tournament. I'm breaking this down for you, Dave, by different things. Went to Spice with Mrs. Smoyer. Spice was great. Kids were good. The teacher paper cut was outstanding, and Mr. Douglas does such a great job with all the acts. I got to see the orchestra, all three orchestras. They were very good, and the middle school showed a lot of progress from the beginning. The Claggett musical Frozen, they were sold out every performance. Mrs. Drewley was there, her daughter was in it. What an amazing group of talented young people, and the two amazing directors who put it on. Sunday I went to the Northrop Talent Show where everybody in Northrop, I think, was part of it. And for those of you that missed it, I did play the accordion. I have it taped if any of you want to see it. I can show it to you later. You missed a great performance of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. To any graduates or seniors, a reminder that if you don't know what you want to do with your life yet, free tuition for adult ed at the Career Center. So if you want to go into a trade or something, you can make probably more money than most college graduates. So take us up on this. And I have one passing to note, a 45-year teacher, 45 years in teaching, Barbara Clark, passed away recently, and she taught most of her time in Garfield and also taught at Ella Canavan. Thanks, that's all I have.
Mr. Hare?
Yeah, I first want to thank my fellow board members for moving this meeting from Monday to tonight. Thank you. I had my first meeting as a member of the Facilities Committee, which was a great experience for me, getting to see the entire operations of a different committee. I was on the Finance Committee for several years prior to joining the board. So it was great to see a whole nother side of the administration. Also had a Finance Committee meeting, as Mr. Chambers mentioned. And again, just keeping an eye on the Ohio legislation and its impact on our schools. When that details come out on the per pupil funding, I would ask that everyone take note of how much it is versus the amount that the state is willing to provide per pupil in the form of a voucher. It's a significant difference. Other than that, I don't have too much to share. Looking forward to better weather and attending more school events, particularly outdoors.
Mrs. Drewley?
Sure thing. So I attended curriculum committee this month, and Mrs. Cassidy already shared that we had basically just discussions about the 5, 6, 7, 8 building. We received some thoughtful feedback from committee members, and I appreciate the perspectives that were shared. I also attended Spice and the Claggett production of Frozen. I'm always amazed at the talent and creativity of our students and also our staff members. I think it's an excellent showcase of opportunities that we're working here to protect. I also had my first meeting as the legislative liaison, so I have like a few legislative updates to share. We talked pretty extensively about vouchers because there was a measure put forward by one of our legislators. It's HB 671 was introduced, and it's changed a little bit. Just a little bit of background. Last year, vouchers were deemed unconstitutional, as I think we're all aware, but that has been stayed because it's being appealed. In addition to that, the state spent $100.09 billion on vouchers last year, despite that. And then this year, one of our legislators introduced HB 671, which would withhold funds from districts who are suing the state over vouchers. So this is an attempt to discourage that. It has been talked back a little bit, so at this time, it's not getting a ton of traction. It's just something that I think we all want to keep an eye on. We also talked about the initiative that is going around to get on the ballot to eliminate property taxes, and there's not a real clear understanding of where that is as far as number of signatures, but again, it's something we need to keep an eye on as we move into July and then again into November, because that would obviously have a huge impact on our schools across the state, our fire departments, all local services. One positive note is HB 523 got a second hearing, and this bill is a focus on supporting student teachers, providing them with a salary while they're student teaching and giving them other resources for support. So this is to try and strengthen our teacher pipeline, as we know that the education field is kind of taking a dive a little bit, and we're seeing a lack of people going into education. And then also, I had training with OSBA this month. It was very thorough. Unfortunately, due to the weather, Aaron and I were supposed to go in person into Cleveland, but that was canceled, so we ended up having to do it virtually. It was still great, a lot of really good information that we're just kind of still learning how things work here. So that's it for me. Thank you.
All right. I don't have a whole lot. I would just ask the public, school funding is very complicated. Being on the board for 4 years, I still don't entirely understand it. It's just very complicated. It's convoluted, and I think it's done that way for a reason. But I would ask that, if you have questions, reach out to any one of the 5 of us on the board or Mr. Chambers' office. We are more than happy to help you understand. And if we can't get you the answer, we will try to get you the answer. To add in on Aaron's bit about vouchers and whatnot and into the school funding, the state, I think you said $1.1 billion last year in vouchers. Well, that's for about 160,000 students. And if you do the math, it's about $7,500 per student. We probably, as our district, because we're considered a wealthy district, probably get 1,000 if we're lucky. Lower. 800. About 800 per student. So a student going to a private school or a charter school that has got a voucher is getting a lot more money than what we are. And that should be outrageous to any taxpayers in our district or any district in the state, especially since 90% of the students in the state of Ohio go to a public school. So I would encourage our public to reach out to us, and we'll help you understand, and you can help be a voice for our students in our district. We are doing that as well, but it helps when the public gets very vocal with our elected officials, because they do listen. So, that's about all I've got.
Amy, I don't know if you mind if I share something else, but I did also at the legislative meeting, one of our local school districts shared that they have developed a legislative platform, which I think is something that we should look into doing. It's to help share how we feel as a board about certain legislative issues, to better inform the community on how to advocate at the state level.
Thank you. All right. On top of what they're saying, and I want to just say thank you to Mr. Chambers and Ms. Busby in regards to doing these Friday financials, right? So I appreciate that. And they do put that out on all of the social media channels. You can share that on your page, and I know I have shared it the past couple of weeks. I have received questions on it from some of my friends, some of my not so friends have also asked questions in regards to that. And, you know, this is the way you need to spread this information, especially I think this Friday's is going to be very eye-opening. So definitely there's a little share button there. Please do. Please share that with on your pages. Otherwise, just wanted to state that I went to see Spice as well, as was mentioned, and I was blown away by the students, but I'm going to tell you, those teachers in Paper Jam is the name of their thing. I think you said Paper Trail, but they were so impressive. Just blew my mind that these teachers were out there and they were jamming totally. So much so that I think the after prom wants to have them at the after prom. The after prom committee is asking to have them perform. That should be interesting. We'll see if they do it. But otherwise, we also attended, almost all of us were at the pancake breakfast. So even though, despite it was freezing cold outside, we had many, many people come. So that was wonderful. I guess we're all used to the cold weather by now. Also went to the Claggett performance of Frozen Jr. One of the comments I made, and I still say it today, I'm watching these kids. I'm thinking they're high schoolers that are up there on the stage. They did not seem to be middle schoolers at all. They performed so well. They just performed as well as a high schooler, if not more. So just very, very impressive. Also saw the basketball games against Brunswick that night. Went over there and then went to the senior night for the wrestling meet. One of the kids that I babysat is one of the seniors, so that was so nice to see that. He used to be really small, now he's huge, but still just a great kid, so loving that. And then the partnership council meeting, I really enjoy going to those, learning about what's going on in the city of Medina and actually outside of that, and that was always nice. And then also getting to meet the PTO presidents, as we have a PTO council after that. So appreciate being able to do all these things for the community. So on to bigger and better things. All right, so do we have any public comment? I'm seeing no. Anybody? Okay, great. We will move on. The treasurer's financial report. So these are action items.
Yes, if it please the board, I'd like the board approval on action items G1 through G3.
I'll make a motion to approve items G1 through G3.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Drewley. Thank you, Ms. Pritchard. Any questions, comments? Hearing none. Roll call.
Ms. Drewley,
Aye.
Ms. Pritchard,
Aye.
Mr. Hare,
Aye.
Mr. West,
Yes.
Ms. Smoyer.
Aye.
Thank you.
Superintendent action items?
Before the action items, I just wanted to mention, we haven't mentioned this tonight, but our Portrait to Practice is just around the corner on March 12th. We've had outstanding attendance the last 2 years that we've done that. It's returning to the high school this year because we need the space, because that's the kind of attendance we've had. But that's March 12th at 5:30 to 7 o'clock. And we'll have teachers as well as students presenting their deeper learning projects. Action items H, I'd like to recommend the board approve action items H 1 through 10. A few things that I wanted to point out is the $50,000 donation, which was already mentioned. We are going to continue with the Ohio Athletic Association pending your approval, as that's the only athletic association in the state. There's also resolution number 4 for approval of additional calamity days. The board, I think it just started last year, there was new legislation where the board approves the number of calamity days. Our board approved 7. We are at that max limit. My hope is that we do not need to use any additional days. We are still good with the amount of hours we have left that we're able to use. If we do go beyond the amount of hours that we have available, we will need to look at other options for making up those hours, which could include additional days on the school year, either at the end of the school year or taken from any days off that might remain in the calendar. Those could be in the form of online instruction. I know Jean reached out to me today, and this is a question I've gotten. Why don't we do online instruction? We have calamity days. The reason is because typically calamity days are called the morning of school or a few times this year. It doesn't happen often, but with the cold days the night before, which doesn't allow adequate time in order for teachers to prepare adequate lessons for online, as well as access issues for students on short notice. In addition, the first reading of textbook adoption. These books were reviewed by the curriculum committee. We have a few field trips that are on the agenda. Some of these were already mentioned, but with debate and swimming. And we also have our annual spring training trips for baseball and girls lacrosse. And then finally, the recommendations for personnel. These are pretty standard recommendations personnel-wise for this evening.
Do we have a motion to?
I'll make a motion to approve superintendent action items H1 through H10.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any comments, questions?
I just want to make a couple comments. The textbook adoption preview is for middle school health, and if someone wants to review it, it's here. Oh, the board office? Okay, just so they know. And also, we have 3 retirements. I'm going to say this again. Dave Steyer and Jean Vidica are 2 of my former students. Dave I got to negotiate with on many occasions, and he kept things lively in the negotiations area, so it will be a big loss to Root. And Jean Vidica, who taught mainly here at Garfield and then moved over to Fenn, and I think she's in the same room that now that she was in when she went to school. Outstanding teacher, and Laura Whitaker, our teacher at Claggett. All 3 will be missed deeply, so I wish them the very best of luck and hope they enjoy their retirement.
I have a question around the calamity days. If we were to use all 5 of those, which I don't see happening, but would that result in makeup time?
It's going to be dependent upon the building. So the way it's set up is each grade bands have different amount of hours that they have to be in school each year. We're already there with preschool, but we're not going to use all those days, so it's not going to be a problem.
Any other questions? We're just talking about how it snows in April and May. Yes, let's be positive, because I think we're all tired of snow by now. All right. Will you do roll call, please?
Yes, Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Early?
Aye.
Mr. Hare?
Aye.
Ms. Pritchard?
Aye.
Ms. Moyer?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, we have an action item here. It's a resolution authorizing the filing of an original complaint against the valuation of real property. I spoke about this earlier today, and it's against property known as NAM 3 LLC.
I'll make a motion to approve the treasurer's resolution.
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Pritchard and Mr. Hare. Any questions? Nope, seeing none.
Ms. Pritchard,
Aye.
Mr. Hare,
Aye.
Ms. Drewley,
Aye.
Mr. West,
Yes.
Ms. Smoyer.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right.
And the last action item is a resolution for grade level configuration. We've been having a lot of conversation as well as a work session regarding the exploration of heading this direction. This resolution confirms moving in this direction for 5, 6, 7, 8. I am going to read this because it is an important resolution. Whereas the Medina City School District has experienced sustained enrollment declines and ongoing financial pressures requiring proactive long-term structural planning, and whereas enrollment projections and capacity data demonstrate that AI route and Claggett buildings can effectively accommodate a reconfiguration to grades 5, 6, and 7, 8, whereas the Board of Education has reviewed information regarding academic alignment, equitable programming opportunities, operational efficiency, and projected net annual savings of approximately $1.5 million, which from Dave's presentation, you can see why that's important, which may help protect student programs and extend the timeline between future levy requests. Whereas during its work session, the board provided direction to move forward with engagement, planning, and timeline development related to this potential grade level configuration. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Medina City School District approves the following grade level configuration effective for the 27-28 school year. AI route shall serve grades 5 and 6. Claggett shall serve grades 7 and 8. Elementary buildings shall serve grades K through 4. Be it further resolved that the superintendent is authorized to implement a comprehensive transition plan addressing staffing, transportation, programming, facility adjustments, and community engagement with a priority on maintaining high-quality educational experiences for students and managing staff adjustments primarily through attrition whenever possible.
All right.
I'll make a motion to
Please.
accept
Thank
the resolution for grade level reconfiguration.
Any second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Hare. Any questions, comments?
I don't have any questions, but I want to acknowledge that any structural change to our district is significant, especially when it comes to how our families experience our schools. And I think it's really important to remember that our student experience matters and community trust matters. And this isn't a decision that I take lightly. It's our responsibility as a board to ensure the future of Medina City schools, and that has to go beyond looking at just this year and next year. It requires a longevity when we're faced with declining enrollment and the added increased pressures of funding or lack of funding, I guess. We have to think structurally instead of reacting on a day-to-day or year-to-year basis. So with this conversation, what I'm weighing is our student experience and how we'll be able to maintain student programming and opportunities for students and even improve them in some ways with additional support, having the students all grouped together. I just think it's really important if this is the decision that we make, if this is the direction that we're headed, to consider that this is an alternative to waiting and potentially having to face more disruptive or devastating changes to the district.
Thank you, Ms. Drewley. Anybody else?
Yeah. For those of you familiar with the Federal Reserve, they have a dual mandate. It's to keep inflation low and employment high. And as a school board member, I also feel like we have a dual mandate. And first and foremost, that's to advocate for and do what's best for students And second is to make sure taxpayer funds are used in the most efficient and effective way. I think this change accomplishes both of those items. There's evidence that this configuration benefits students. We've also had 3 educators from surrounding districts reach out and share their experiences, all of which were positive. One of them said she was originally very opposed, but it ended up being one of the best things her district ever did. As mentioned, this also saves us $1.5 million annually. While I acknowledge change and cuts are always difficult, and this will likely be no exception, but with the continued decrease in state funding, it's imperative we stretch our dollars and extend the timeline for when we will seek an additional or new levy. So for those reasons, I support this resolution and remain committed to further improvement in our middle schools.
Thank you, Mr. Hare. Anybody else? I just want to add, having substituted in both the elementaries and in the middle schools, there is such a huge difference with their with a 6th grader and an 8th grader just being in the same school. It's such a huge mental type of trying to think of the word that I'm looking for, but yes, developmental, thank you, differences between that age. And it was just astounding, just even being there and seeing the differences between a young 6th grader and then you've got this 8th grader who is almost a very young adult, and there's so many developmental changes between that age. I've been very much for this for the last few years. When we first started bringing that around in 2019, I believe we were talking about it in the beginning of 2020, and of course it got tabled because of COVID, but I am glad that we are looking at this, in all honesty. So with that, any other questions, comments? Mr. Chambers?
Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Hare?
Aye.
Ms. Drewley?
Aye.
Ms. Pritchard?
Aye.
Ms. Smoyer?
Aye.
Thank you.
I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. Really appreciate it. And those who stayed, thank you, Mr. Smeagol. You actually stayed. Even though you were excused. I really like that. All right, we will be moving into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, and compensation of a public employee or official, preparation for conducting or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with employees, and matters required to be confidential by federal law or regulations or state statutes. May I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
I'll second.
Ms. Pritchard?
Aye.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Ms. Drewley?
Aye.
Mr. Hare?
Aye.
Ms. Smoyer?
Aye.
Thank you.